السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
الله أكبر الله أكبر. الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء وأطهر المرسلين، شفيع المذنبين وحبيب رب العالمين، محمد صلوات ربي وسلامه عليه وعلى آله وصحبه الطيبين الطاهرين. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه، ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له، ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأن محمدا صلى الله عليه وسلم عبده ورسوله. أما بعد، فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله، وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. In the name of Allah, the compassionate, the most merciful, all praise is due to Allah. We bear witness that no one is worthy of worship but Allah, and we bear witness that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam is indeed his final messenger. The best of speech is the book of Allah, and the best of guidance is the guidance of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us amongst those who listen to the best of speech, the book of Allah, and follow its commandment. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us amongst those who come to know the best of ways, the way of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and make us amongst his followers. Allahumma ameen, Allahumma ameen, Allahumma ameen. يا أحباب رسول الله وصلوات ربي وسلامه عليه، سنة There is this lost sunnah that has been forgotten, maybe not paid attention to, checking on people. How are you doing? Asking each other and meaning it, how are you doing? Despite all the technology to communicate that we have today, scholars are saying, sociologists are saying, perhaps this is one of the loneliest generations. What do you mean? I am on Facebook all the time. I get WhatsApp messages all day long. Somebody's texting me, I am on Instagram, I can tell people what is happening. So despite all of this, people feel very lonely. The other day I was told, young girl, Muslim girl, 13 years old, 7th grade, hijabi girl, committed suicide. And you're 13, man. What are you talking about committing? How hard can life be to you at 13 that you feel this life is not worth it anymore? That's a part of the story. But the other story is people were surprised. What happened? We just never expected it. What happened? We would always say, how are you doing? And people would just say, I am doing fine. Again, I was told of a brother that passed away, died, and it was days after his death that people actually found out that he's dead. What happened? People don't check on each other anymore. We don't say, how are you doing? I mean it. How are you doing? Alhamdulillah, work is good. I'm not talking about work, man. Well, family is good, alhamdulillah. I'm not talking about family. My health is good. I'm not talking about your health. How are you doing? Taking the time to ask, how are you doing? Did this with a brother. Said, how are you doing? He said, alhamdulillah, work is good. I said, I'm not asking about work. How are you doing? He said, my family is good. I said, brother, I'm not asking about your family. I'm asking, how are you doing? He said, I'm healthy, alhamdulillah. How are you doing? He starts crying. What happened? He said, man, I've been dying for somebody to ask me, how are you doing? No, we think that's not a big deal. Man woke up in the morning in San Francisco. He decided, today is my last day. I am going to kill myself today unless somebody asks me, how are you doing? Decided that he's going to jump off the Golden Gate Bridge. Golden Gate Bridge, so far 126 people have died jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge. Said, I drove, saw my neighbors, greeted me. Nobody said, how are you doing? I drove all the way by the bridge, parked my car, started walking on the bridge. A couple was there, they said, good morning sir, can you please take a picture? I took their picture, but they didn't ask, how are you doing? And I decided, this is it. I'm going to kill myself. Once you jump, takes 4 seconds to hit the water. Said as soon as I jumped, I know I wanted to live. And those of you, if you remember swimming lessons, there is this move that we learned, skill, and that is the pencil. You come down feet first, hands on the side, minimizing the impact of the water on you, going to give you the best chance of survival. He survived, and that's how we know the story. But what was his problem? I was looking for somebody to ask me, how are you doing? How are you doing? People genuinely asking us, on us extending the same question to others genuinely. How are you doing? When was the last time you asked your wife, how are you doing? Not the kids, not the finance, no. How are you doing? When was the last time somebody asked you, how are you doing? SubhanAllah, one of the most amazing attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is as-Sami'. He's all hearing. He listens to people. And sometimes when people give up on people, they turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And one of the most beautiful, these types of dialogues that take place is between Zakaria alayhi salam and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He speaks to Allah and says, قَالَ رَبِّ إِنِّي وَهَنَ الْعَظْمُ مِنِّي وَاشْتَعَلَ الرَّأْسُ شَيْبًا وَلَمْ أَكُ بِدُعَائِكَ رَبِّي شَقِيًّا. He says, my Lord, I have grown old, my bones are frail, my hair is all grey, and so long that I am praying to you, I know that I won't be miserable. And then he makes one of the strangest requests. Allah, I am lonely. I am alone. And the scholars say that إِذْ نَادَى رَبَّهُ نِدَاءً خَفِيًّا. When Zakaria alayhi salam spoke to his Lord, but he almost whispered. You know, if you ever see an old man and the old man is praying for a child, what are people going to do? Laugh at that person. And they say that's why he said it so in such a whispering voice, because حَتَّى لَا يُتَّهَمَ بِالْخَرَفِ, so that people won't hear him and they would point the finger accusing him. You've gotten too old. How are you doing? Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was the best at this. Not only did he know how people were doing, either by observation, but the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam always wanted to do something about it. Jabir ibn Abdullah tazawwaj. Jabir ibn Abdullah got married. The man was broke. He had nothing. And the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam knew about it. He knew how he was doing. So they're coming back to Medina, and they say that everybody is riding on his camel. The Prophet ﷺ pulls over next to Jabir. I don't know if you say pull over with the camel, but he, rode along next to Jabir. And he knew. He wanted to do something, but remember, Muhammad ﷺ was a classy man. He was a civilized man. He was a beautiful man, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He said, Ya Jabir, bi'ni ba'irak. He said, Jabir, I am interested in buying your camel. Now that camel was a pathetic camel. You wouldn't want it. You know when you have that old car, where people say, we'll come and tow it, but you have to pay us to take your car? He said, Ya Rasulullah, qad bi'at. Messenger of Allah, sold. The Prophet ﷺ said, أربعة دنانير, 4 golden coins. 4 دنانير? That's a lot of money. So they make it to Medina. Prophet ﷺ takes the camel, goes home, calls upon Bilal. He says, Ya Bilal, اعطي الدنانير لجابر وأعطيه البعير ورد عليه البعير. He said, Bilal, I want you to take no longer any 4 golden coins. I want you to take more. Along with it, take the camel with you and give it to Jabir. What happened? See, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam knew how Jabir was doing. How are you doing? Listen to what the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says. ألا أخبركم بأقربكم مني مجلسا. Mean Ya Rasulullah, shall I inform you about those who are going to be closest to me in position in the hereafter? قالوا بلى يا رسول الله. Please do, Prophet of Allah. قال أحاسنكم أخلاق. Those of you who have the best of character. الموطئون أكنافا. وقالوا كنف الرجل كتفه. الموطئون أكنافا. They are those who put their shoulders down so that people can lean on it. When do we do this? When we know how somebody else is doing. How are you doing? The Prophet ﷺ, see, we can ask all day long, how are you doing? If you don't feel comfortable with me, you won't tell me how are you doing. And we know this. Other day, I received a call from a parent. Sheikh, I don't know what to do.
My daughter, beautiful kid, prays, she's hijabi. I just found out that she called the suicide hotline. Alhamdulillah, she did. Wallahi, alhamdulillah, she did. And if anybody has got a problem, one place to go to is called these hotlines. Helpful people are on the other end. So I don't know what to do. I said, do me a favor. When was the last time you said to your daughter, how are you doing? Remember, how are you? Not your grades, not your performance at school. How are you doing? He said, I haven't done that. What would make people open up to us and say, I am going to tell you how I am doing? The Prophet ﷺ gives us that formula. تحرم النار يقول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم على كل هين لين سهل قريب من الناس صلوا على رسول الله. Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said, Allah forbids the hellfire consuming somebody who is سهل هين لين قريب من الناس. A person who is سهل, easygoing, they're approachable. لين, they're soft, they're not harsh. قريب من الناس, they are available, which nowadays they say it is a must. If you want people to respond to your how are you doing genuinely and sincerely upon and open up, you've got to be approachable, accessible, available. Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam taught us this. قال سهل هين لين قريب من الناس. When we do this, people would want to share with us, how are they doing? Mean it. Wallahi, mean it. When we ask, how are you doing? I really mean it. How are you really doing? I'm interested. It's not cliche that I'm asking. You know the sad part? When they study communication, they say that we human beings are capable of going into 8 different levels of depth as far as communication is concerned. And then sadly they say, most people go to sleep after the 2nd level. First level is cliche questions. How are you doing? You really don't care. How are you doing? How was the school? How was this? Nobody, it's just cliche. You're just being polite. 2nd level, we inquire about facts. Did you do your homework? Did you eat your dinner? Did you pay the bill? Did you make the appointment? Did you cancel the appointment? And then most people, they go to sleep. Wait a minute. What happened to how are you doing? What happened to it? And that is the irony in all of this. Despite the fact that we are able to communicate with all the devices that we have, yet people feel very lonely. I've shared this story with you before, and I never get tired of sharing it. In Florida, they found out these people are coming in to the bank tellers and they have the lousiest of transactions. I want $15 out of this account, put $7.50 into it. It's just like really silly transactions that are taking place, and it was taking a lot of time. And they found out that these were senior citizens. They have nobody to talk to, and the only person that they can talk to is the teller at the bank. The bank finds this out, and what do? They limited the number of times that you can come and speak to the teller twice a month, otherwise we're going to charge you. But do you see how lonely people are feeling? That it is so lonely that the only conversation that I have in the day is when I go to the bank and I have a chit chat with the teller. You know, after I heard that story, you know how sometimes you go to the grocery store and there's an elderly person chatting with the cashier, and here you are just like really ready, just come on, I'll pay for it. Just please, just remember, this may be the only conversation that they have in the week. Well, I'm not making these things up. Remember one time here at Access, when I was here, we had a hotline. Hotline was not for people who are going through, mental health related issues. No, they said there are community members, they are immobile. They can't really get out of their house and they have nobody to talk to. So we created a hotline so that people can call in so that they can have a conversation with a real life human being. They wanted somebody to ask them, how are you doing? Please do not undermine how are you doing. Please do not undermine that question. But that question, in order for it to be answered, you can't really rush me and say, how are you doing? I need time. I need time. If you really want to know how I am doing, you must be willing to give time. I need to trust you. We have to talk. It's okay to touch. And it would be very nice if you can tease, the 5 T's. And again, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was the master of this. In the hadith it said that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam went to visit Jabir ibn Abdullah. Here is a man who is in his 50s, Jabir ibn Abdullah was about 15 or 18. He goes to visit him. But when he gets there, Jabir's younger brother was outside crying. What does Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam do? Kid is crying, man, probably over candy or something, move on. Prophet sallallahu sits next to Umayr. What is going on, Umayr? You got to remember, this is the messenger of Allah. Umayr, what's going on? What are you crying? My bird, Prophet of Allah. Kid has as a pet, he had a bird. And he was crying over his bird. And Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is sitting there consoling this kid over the loss of his bird. And every now and then the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam would say, Umayr, ma fa'al al-Nughayr? How's your bird doing? He sallallahu alayhi wa sallam would do this. Time. Trust. And one of the biggest things that young people tell me about, I can't really talk to my parents because I don't trust them. Not that they're going to reveal my secrets, but they just jump to conclusions too soon. I don't know if they're going to call somebody behind my... I need to trust. Be nice if we talk. They say, how are you doing? Stare at me. No. How are you doing? But I need some time. I need to warm up before you really ask me, or I can tell you how I am really doing. Touch. No, subhanAllah, they say, one of the ways that we can express our feelings, positive feelings, to those who are around us, is when we are not afraid of touching them. A hug is nice, man. Especially from somebody that you care for. A pat in the back is really nice. A high five is beautiful. A handshake, touch. And these are all factors that would enhance somebody telling us, how are you really doing? Then the last one is this idea of tease. Somebody who's not afraid of laughing with you. Somebody who's not afraid of laughing at themselves with you as well. Especially if we are parents. Collectively, if we have all these things, the hope is that when the next time that we ask, how are you doing? Somebody is really going to tell us, how are they really doing? And in this, our teacher is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam did it, and he did it so beautifully, and he did it so well. See, brothers, when you think of Sunnah, please think of this behavior as the real Sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Sometimes the tendency is we limit the Sunnah into how did the Prophet ﷺ do certain things? How did the Prophet ﷺ, and this is all beautiful. But these kinds of things, this is really what made Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam unique, and these are the type of things that make Islam so beautiful. You know, when people follow this type of Sunnah. This companion tells the story. He said, I went to the market to buy. قال بدا لي أن أشتري فرسا. Said, I wanted to buy a horse. Said, when I get there, said the man asked, said, how much do you want for your horse? حذيفة. فقال الرجل 400 درهم. Said, I'm asking for 400 dirhams. So the man said, Huzaifa said to him, he said, تسوى أكثر. It's worth more than this. So the man said, 500? He said, أكثر. So the man said, 600? Remember, he's trying to buy the horse. So the man said, 600. He said, أكثر. 700? He said, أكثر. More. 800? He said, لعلها 800. Said, maybe 800 is a good deal. And people watching this transactions and thinking to themselves, this has got to be the stupidest buyer ever. Because nobody raises the price on themselves. So people said, what were you doing raising the price on yourselves? إِنِّي عَاهَدْتُ رَسُولَ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم. He said, I took a pledge with Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. What was the pledge? He said, أَنْ أَنصَحَ لِكُلِّ مُسْلِمٍ. He said, the pledge that I took is, I have to give a sincere advice to every believer that I meet out there. He said, it was to my advantage to get it at 400, but I gave my word to Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Sunnah. That is sunnah. I gave him my word that I will do this. So part of the sunnah is, I'm going to give this man a sincere advice. I know it will cost me more, but that would be the sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase us in understanding. Ya Allah. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله وكفى الصلاة والسلام على رسوله المصطفى وعلى من بآثاره اكتفى. SubhanAllah, one of the things that we've been taught as, trained therapists, say that in therapy, your session is most successful the less you talk and the more the client talks. Says that's how you know that your session was a successful session. I remember I visited a community and they allocated half an hour for people who wanted to come and talk to me. And I remember one of the most successful sessions I have had. Young sister walks in, she talks for 28 minutes. I did not say a word. I don't even know her name. She didn't even say, she just walked in and she said, let me tell you. She started talking. 28 minutes. I am done. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum. What happened? She really wanted to say how she was doing. And there are many people around us who really want to tell us how are they doing. But we've got to make ourselves approachable, available, accessible. When we do this, we will get a lot, inshallah, from those who are around us. Please remember this. Inshallah, last point, and I finish with this. When people really tell us what is going on in their heart, inevitably, wallahi, inevitably, it's just common human reaction. Inevitably, people come closer to one another. That is just human nature. If I can really trust you and open my heart, inevitably, people just come closer to one another. In other words, if we want to improve the relationship with those who are around us, let's ask them, how are they doing? And let's be ready, inshallah, to answer or to hear that question out. On your way out, inshallah, you will find that our brothers and sisters from Access are here, and that's one of the mental health agencies that provide that kind of help. So please, inshallah, do stop by. And we'll also, inshallah, tonight at the Tustan Masjid, we will have a lecture around the same topic, and it will be nice to see as many of you there as possible, inshallah.
May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless the souls of our loved ones who have passed away. If any of our loved ones are not feeling well, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them a speedy recovery. If any of our family members are not doing well, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ease their pain. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ease the pain of those who are worried, depressed, or whatever challenges they may be going through, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Bless our families and our children. Make our families strong and blessed يا رب العالمين. اللهم فرج هم المهمومين ونفس كرب المكروبين واقض الدين عن المدينين. اللهم ارحم موتانا واشف مرضانا وفك أسرانا وعاف مبتلانا واختم بالباقيات الصالحات آجالنا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. عباد الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون فاذكروا الله يذكركم واشكروه على نعمه يزدكم ولذكر الله أكبر. الله يعلم ما تصنعون وأقيموا الصلاة.